we're going to do a recap of all the rules of civility that we mentioned, right? So we talked about first the 3 special addresses that we should have, right, to show politeness, and that was, what did you say it was?
That courtesy. Please, thank you, excuse me, and you can end it. Sorry.
Yes, all right. And then we talked about what else? What else did we talk about?
We talked about how to try courtesy and how like when.
So then we talked about first, and then we talked about proper addresses, right? Titles. Back there, I know you're doing work, but please keep your tones down, right? So then we talked about addressing others properly, Mr. and Mrs. in front of the name of every adult and grown-up person that you know, right? Unless they tell you otherwise. And also titles as in doctor, president, pastor, or whatever, you have to address it by their proper title, right? So then we talked about that. And then we talked about bowing, kissing, and handshakes and how to do those and how each country, show those kind of greetings, okay? So now we're going to talk about, and then now we're talking about respect for others. And we said that one of the problems that a lot of kids have is to consider people's feelings, right? Usually you're trying to hurt each other, seeing who can get the most laughs and who can tease the other one, right? And that's not really polite, right? So I'm going to say 2 big words, right? And some of you might know it and some of you might not. Okay, the first big word, right? Excuse me, the first big word is sympathy. Has anyone heard of sympathy before? Okay, so I need someone to define what sympathy means. Someone to define what sympathy means.
Sympathy means that you understand how the person feels.
Okay, and then anyone has a better explanation?
It's kind of like
sympathy is when you be considerate of other people's feelings instead of hurting them, you be nice to them.
Okay, and anyone else think they have a better explanation?
I got one for
Go ahead.
in
For
my
sympathy.
version for what I know.
Okay.
My version of what was it again? Sympathy is something like drama, and when you act like something's crazy going on, like little stuff or huge stuff.
That's not exactly sympathy. That's like when you
Drama theater.
yeah, dramatization, something like that. But that's different. Okay. So I agree with their version, right? Sympathy means that you try to understand how the person is feeling, but I'm going to add by putting yourself in the person's position, thinking, I feel sorry for you because I've been there, right? I understand, right? So that's like sympathy. The other word is empathy.
Empathy.
So that's a word you might not be familiar with.
Empathy is like you still feel sorry for that person, but you actually haven't been through that situation.
Exactly, and that's a total. It's like that. And so, which one do you think you should do more of? Sympathize or empathize? Empathize, because you're not always going to be in the person's situation, right? Like, are you ever going to be homeless?
No.
God forbid, right? But can you empathize with a homeless person and be like, I have never been there, but I can understand or try to understand or try to imagine how it might feel and not to hurt their feelings. Or maybe you've never been handicapped, right? And never had a broken leg or a broken bone or have a problem, whatever. And there are certain things you will never go through. But that doesn't mean that you cannot try to be nice and kind to someone who is going through it, right? Just not to say that you feel what they feel, but just to say that you want to be considerate to them, right? You have something to say? No? Okay. Okay, so that is how you show respect, by empathizing, okay? So our next topic is accepting compliments, okay? All right, so how many people like to receive compliments?
Me,
So when someone says you are pretty, what do you say?
Thank you.
Thank you, right? So it's great to receive a compliment. Oh, if they're being sarcastic, and you usually can tell if someone's sarcastic, right?
My brother, he can never tell when
Trinidad
I'm being
told me this
sarcastic.
joke that really got me upset. Even when he said,
So you're telling me she's so who should I listen to? Okay, thank you, but she started. Go ahead.
My brother can never tell.
yeah.
My brother can never tell if I'm being sarcastic.
Okay. All right. So that's not a good thing, is it? That's really not a good thing. They should be able to tell if you are being sarcastic when you're serious, when you're happy, when you're sad. It shouldn't be a all-around thing. That means you're sarcastic too often, right? So you have to work on that. Okay? So there's a difference between someone making you a compliment and someone doing something else. Does anyone kind of think of what I'm talking about? When it's like too much compliments.
Yeah.
It's also an F. It's also an F. Cecil? Cecil? Cecil?
I know how Cameron feels, cause he's the most
No, so my question to you was, you weren't listening, my question to you was, there is a difference between a compliment and another word that is like when someone is over complimenting you and it starts with an F.
fresh.
No. Fresh. Anyone can find it?
So
It's called flattery. Oh, flattery. Does anyone know what the word flattery means?
Flattery means when you're like, it's kind of like when you're interested in something or you're interested in doing something.
Usually when someone is trying to flatter you, they want something. Like when I was reading a fable and the sly fox flatters the crow because she wanted the cheese. Right.
I have an example. Like, say I'm watching, if I'm watching a movie, and in the movie it has like this person. Every time they see them, they kept telling them
Johnny, I can hear your voice.
compliments until they can get what they want.
Okay.
And it's usually also
So flattery is when someone overly compliments you, right? And like you said, they usually want something from you. Okay? So it's like they're not telling the full truth, they overdo it, right? So flattery is not something that you should partake in, that you should do, right? When you compliment someone, you should be honest, clear, cut, no overdoing, right? And others too, if others are flattering you, you should not, take the bait and then fall into their, trap of whatever it is that they're trying to get from you, right? So,
And then the person who's like trying to
it's still not good. Flattery from anyone is not a good thing, right? Compliments are great to receive, but flattery is just overdoing it, right? So if someone says, you're very pretty, okay? That's a compliment. But it's like, you are so beautiful, your nose is just perfect in the right position. Your eyes, oh my gosh, your eyes are so bright. And look at your hair. Did you do those braids? Where did you get your hair done? Oh, these beads, they're just perfect. Like, is that overdoing it? That's flattery, right? It's like too much. And usually you can tell when someone's trying to flatter you. They over exceed the compliment. It's like too much. Okay, and you're like, okay, thank you. Like you start blushing, you start acting foolish.
I can tell when someone's trying to flatter me. I'd be like, that's obvious. Goodbye.
Let's go. Caitlin?
But what if if they flatter you too much, or like they like if they flatter you too much, they what if they give you
A job interview?
like what if they give you a job if you take pictures if I tell you you're pretty or something and then they just tell you automatically you could be good in one of our pictures or videos.
Right. So we've seen that on television, right? That a guy who says he's a photographer comes and sees a pretty little girl or a young lady, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you have the perfect face, and we can do a magazine cover with this. Look at this. We need to. Can I get your? And then they try to get the that you can go to their studio, right, and take pictures, right? So usually when a person wants to be a model, there's a process, there's a procedure to go through. You know, it's in the open, it's not one person, it's like a whole audition, there's a lot of girls there, there's a lot of boys there. So it's never go anywhere with just one individual who's flattering you and trying to get you to go somewhere because you're pretty. Everyone already knows you are pretty, right? You know, we already know we're gorgeous. We don't need someone else to tell us how beautiful we are, okay? Our parents tell us, and if they don't, well, I'm telling you today, you all are beautiful. Amen. Thank you. Preach. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Moving on. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is being on time, right? So how important is it to be on time?
It's very important.
When you be on time, people respect you.
When you are on time, people respect you more. When you are on time, they rely on you. What else? Why else should you be on time? Right? Being on time shows that you are responsible, right? So here's a question. If you have an appointment, right? Let's say you were supposed to be here at 9:15. Right? So what time, like how do you prepare yourself to be on time?
Wake up 1 hour before Angel.
You can reschedule.
No.
Wait, you didn't hear my question. I said if you have an appointment, like for example, today our camp starts at 9:15. What did you do to prepare yourself to get here at 9:15?
Wake up 2 hours early and eat breakfast, get prepared, and after that drive to the church because I live far from the church.
Away, right?
So I came at 8:20 or 30 or 40 something.
Okay, so the point she's making is for you to get to a place on time, you have to prepare in advance. She says she woke up 2 hours in advance. So first of all, you have to know where you're going. You have to know how long it takes you to get there, right? So like when I'm traveling, the day before I travel, I always Google to find out how long it's going to take from my house to the place. If it takes an hour, right, I have to give myself that time to travel. But am I going to wake up 1 hour before? No, that's the time I have to travel. I have to prepare, shower, eat, clothing, everything. Sometimes I prepare my clothing at night. I prepare, like my bag, whatever, the night before. And then when I wake up, all I have to do is shower and then brush my teeth and eat and then go, right? So if you want to be on time, people in the back, shh. So if you're not working, you're listening. If you're done working, you're listening. Okay? So this is how you are on time, right? When I was in high school, right? I don't know, it dawned on me that I was doing it all wrong. I would always be late. Always late. For some reason, if they told me I had to be at a certain place at 9:15, I was leaving my house at 9:15. And then I did that a couple of times, and then it came to, I'm like, why am I leaving now? I should be arriving there at this time. And so then it had to be a working process for me to find out the best way for me to get to the place that I need to get to early. Sometimes your parents, you might find that they go and find out where they're going to go before they even leave the next day because they're afraid of getting lost, right? Like if you have an exam to take, you have a special event and you don't want to get lost, you search the place out the day before, find out how to get there physically, and then go the next day, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do to be on time. Okay, it's not impossible. Go ahead.
You also, you feel like it's like an alarm clock or something like